Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's fourth and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's final video. Day 10 will take us to the 12th of September, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with a set of GFS and CET Ensembles. Maybe we'll try in a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, and that gets us well into the end of September, really. So I'll get on with that for you in a moment. We'll also do a little bit of CET Saturday. All that's to come. But just to say that the first video release today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also released the week ahead forecast and the EC42 day. So please check out all today's videos and content. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. Check out the EC42 day. It's rather rather funny, but if you're listening on headphones, when you get to around the last minute or so, turn them down, because there's a but I shall say no more. Right, okay, let's do it, shall we? We're going to start off in the tropical Atlantic. So here we go, more developments. Now we've got the remains of Dahlia here, post-tropical cyclone Dahlia, giving maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. This is about done for now, so it's going to head up towards the northeast coast there of America and Canada, and it's going to be fizzling out and disappearing post-tropical very shortly. Right, where to next? We've got a yellow X down here. That's disturbance 1 with a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days, but a 70% chance in the next 7 days. They're saying a tropical wave located over the far east of the tropical Atlantic is producing disorganised shower and thunderstorm activity to the southwest of Cape Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear conducive for some gradual development of this system by the middle of next week, and a tropical depression is likely to form while it moves west to west-northwestwards at 15-20 miles per hour over the eastern and central portions of the tropical Atlantic. That is one to watch. We have also got tropical storm Gert here, giving maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour with a minimum set pressure of 1,003 millibars. This is going to be dying a death by the beginning of next week. We'll be going post-tropical there. It's a short-lived storm. And then we've got Katia, just here, tropical storm Katia, giving maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour with a minimum set pressure of 1,005 millibars. Katia is also going to be a short-lived storm and will be dying a death by next week. So by the beginning of next week, all 3 of these should be gone. But this one, I think, will be the one to watch. I think as that meanders in that direction, it will pick up energy, and that may well become our next significant storm, possibly a hurricane, through the course of next week. That is the one to watch, and we'll keep you updated about that at GavsWeatherVids. Okay, let's go here. So the central temperature for September for Thursday, provisional is at 17.1. Very warm Thursday to the month. That's 3.5 degrees above average. So it's only going to rise from there. So goodness knows where that will be by this time next week. It might be into the 20s or something absolutely ridiculous by then. But for the Thursday of the month, we come out at 17.1. So just have a quick look at September through the CET, all the way back 1659 with central temperature. Of course, the further back you go, the more unreliable it becomes, but it is a bit of a snapshot of what things were like then. So we come down anyway to 2023. We can see that we had June come out at 17.0, July at 16.1, and August at 16.4. So September's number will be placed just better. So how's September been doing over recent years? Well, last year had a reasonably warm, but not excessively so, September at 14.4. But the year before that, 2021, we had a very warm September at 16.0. Really, really warm September in 2021. Before that, 2020 was at 14.0, 2019 at 14.3. Again, a little bit above average, not particularly excessive. So our last quite cool September was 2018. That's the last time it was in the 13s at 13.7, and before that we had 2017 at 13.6. Another really warm September in 2016 at 16.1. I'm sure you remember it. Got to 34 degrees at Gravesend. Our last cold September, significantly below average, was in 2015. Our last sub-zero for September will be a shocker. No, our last sub 13 Celsius CET September was in 2015 at 12.7. The last time I had a 15 Celsius finish for the CET was in 2014 at 15.1. 2013 came out 13.7. 2012 came out 13.0. And I have been reminded that 2012 actually had quite a hot start. The first week was significantly above average, but the rest of the month was very cool. Most notably so in the final week, which was cold and wet, and we actually came out a little bit below average after a CET collapse in the second half of September 2012. 2011 at 15.1, 2010 at 13.8, and 2009 a very dry September, but not excessively warm, just a bit above average at 14.3. Now in 2006 we have our warmest September on CET record at 16.9. That used to be tied with one of the Septembers in the 1700s. I think maybe 1729. But they've revised the index. So I think now September 2006 on the revised index stands out as you know, the hottest September on record. That was a remarkably warm month, but also quite wet as well back then in 2006. But last time we had a really cold September, by the way, was in 1986, just here, when we actually came out at 11.3, really cold. When you think that, you know, we're talking about a 16.9 CET for September 2006, well, just like 20 years before that, we was at 11.3. That, of course, is an unusually cold month, but it just goes to show the extremes that I've read that you can get in the month of September. 1952 also was a cold September. I think this is the coldest on record. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. That came out at 10.7, a sub 11 CET September there. So yeah, it just goes to show you, doesn't it, the variations that you can get with September. But just a few years before that, in 1949, we get 16.3. You see, but back then, like the 16 and 15, 16 Celsius CET finishes were much rarer, and like the 13 and 12, etc. CET finishes were much more common. Going a little bit further back, so you can find that very hot September in the 1700s. I know there were a few of them. So let's see if I can find it. Is it 1729? There it is, 1729 at 16.6. That's a really hot September for that era, and I think for a while that was the one that was tied with 2006, but now 2006 is quite clearly the overall winner. I don't think there's too many more exceptionally hot Septembers. There's 1795, I think. That one had a 16 Celsius CET finish. There it is, 16 degrees, but before that we had two that were in the 11s. So yeah, it just goes to show you the difference that you can get with September. Of course, we are starting off on a very warm note, so I think it's very unlikely we will have anything more than like a 14 Celsius or anything lower than a 14 Celsius CET finish. But we shall see. You never know with the weather. But whatever we finish up at, it will be placed there, and it will be interesting to see. Of course, with 2006 coming out at 16.9, it does show that September could possibly have a 17 Celsius CET finish. It's not beyond the realms of impossibility that could happen if we have 2006 at 16.9. And so wouldn't it be interesting if, like, September ended up warmer than June, if we came out at 17.1 or something. It will be a remarkable turn up of the books, you know, because we've all assumed that June, excuse me, that June is the hottest month of the summer and of the year. Well, it will be the hottest month of the meteorological summer, but you know, could we end up with a September hotter than June and the hottest month of the year? That would be truly remarkable. But we're only on day one of the month, of course, so there's a lot of weather passed under the bridge before that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of CET Saturday. Let's have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensemble. Looking at London today, the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off around to a bit above average at the moment. The upper air temperatures will be lifting up, though, over the next few days, become remarkably warm, actually, as we go through the first week of September. Seeing those upper air temperatures getting to 20 degrees at 850 HPA. That is exceptionally hot for this time of the year for those upper air temperatures. And only a very, very gradual come down as well. So there is a decline in those upper air temperatures, but it takes a long, long time before we get back anywhere close to average. It's not until like the middle of the month, the second half of the month, that we get there. And of course, that is a long way out and is therefore in the extended range and unreliable. So certainly, definitely the first week of September is looking remarkably warm. The first half of September is also looking pretty exceptionally warm as well. Precipitation-wise, lots of dry weather over the next few days, gradually becoming more unsettled maybe for the second week of September, but that looks a little bit inconclusive, I have to say, about any return to anything particularly notably wet. Looks relatively dry, certainly for the next week to 10 days. Temperature anomalies from the 2nd to the 10th of September very substantially above average, meeting heat wave thresholds in those deep red colours, which is like 6 to 8 degrees above average. Some parts of France going to around 10 degrees above average. This is a proper heat wave across Western Europe in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies from the 2nd, 10th of September, they are coming out substantially drier than normal. Latest Windflow Map from earthnorthschool.net shows that high pressure is building in from off the Atlantic. Now we've got a ridge building through the country. That will strengthen into an area of high pressure when we get through into tomorrow and beyond. And we see that very nicely on the latest UK Met Euro run for midnight on Tuesday. High pressure centred over and to the east of the country. We're pulling in these very warm or hot southerly southeast winds as well. Through the middle of next week, yes, we keep wind up from the south-southeast, looking very warm and or hot, gradually weakening the ridge off towards the end of next week. Possibly a bit of a fungy trough edging closer to the south by Friday, but even then, well, this is about midnight Saturday, but even then, looking very warm and or hot, especially for those eastern, southeastern parts of the country. No definitive breakdown up to next weekend there with the UK Met. Icon, again, with the ridge of high pressure over and to the east of the country, dragging up those hot southerly southeasterlies through the early to middle part of next week. Gradually the ridge weakens into the second half of next week with signs of a trough of low beginning to push up from the south, possibly bringing some thunder and deepening low pressure around Iceland. That is where autumn is waiting in the wings, of course, with this area of low pressure. Have a look at the upper air temperatures there. You'll be able to see that behind this line just here, that is autumn waiting. But how long will it take for autumn to get in? I wonder. In the meantime, we're not as hot as we are earlier in the week with Icon by next weekend, but we are still very, very substantially above average. GFS midnight run. Once more, showing that large area of high pressure dominating over and to the east country, bringing lots of dry and hot weather with it, drawing up the wind for a southerly southeasterly direction through the middle of next week, bringing hot air with it. Gradually a bit of weakening of the ridge towards the end of next week might allow some showers to break out and some slightly cooler air tries to get in from the north and from the northwest, and slowly but surely, let's head up towards day 9 and 10, we begin to turn things cooler and more unsettled. Look at that feature down there. I reckon that's the yellow X I was just talking about, looking like some sort of hurricane and or tropical storm moving into the North Atlantic by that point. But let's come back to home. So by day 10, gets cooler air is starting to move in from the North Atlantic there on the GFS midnight run. Takes a while for it to do so, but eventually we do get a little bit of a cool down around days 8, 9, and 10. Beyond that, though, high pressure still ridging into the south, bringing lots of dry, fine weather. Not as warm, but still above average with the temperature. And that's how you end up with GFS midnight run. So by then, this is the remains of that storm just here. Got another one heading up towards Newfoundland as well. By the way, remarkable how active the Atlantic is for a developing El Nino September. That's very, very unusual for the Atlantic to be this active in a developing El Nino September. So we are seeing a highly unusual pattern here with El Nino combining with an active, what looks like a relatively active hurricane season, certainly for this September anyway. So yeah, it's all rather unusual and rather strange, but by the time we get through to the end of the GFS midnight run, we're still under high pressure over the country, actually. Right, okay, GFS 6Z, again, showing that area of high pressure sitting over to the country on Tuesday, dragging up those very warm or hot southern southeast winds. If you want to know how hot the temperature could get next week, check out the weekend forecast. The scenario continues into Wednesday and Thursday. Gradually pressure weakens towards the end of next week and into next weekend. Lower pressure starts moving in from the Atlantic. Remember I said autumn is up here. Well, look what happens on the 6Z as we go to day 9 and 10. Low pressure with this trough dropping in from the northwest, and so autumn descends there on the GFS 6Z around days 8, 9, 10. That'll be substantially cooler and also bring outbreaks of rain in from the North Atlantic as well. All change there. But more changes then after that. High pressure starts reaching back up from the south as we head towards middle of September. And we go off and running into another spell of very warm and reasonably dry weather at that point. That gets to Monday the 18th of September. Again, notice two what look like hurricanes or tropical storms here in the North Atlantic as well. At the end of GFS 6Z, again, very unusual that. Very, very unusual for a developing El Nino September. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Why don't drop a comment and say what you think about this and all about videos. And don't get to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Around 35 subscribers will get to 16.8k, so if you could give us a sub, to your friends and family to subscribe, it would be incredible and amazing. We will thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. GM, again, has that area of high pressure sitting over anti-country on Tuesday, drawing in those hot southerly to southeasterly winds. That carries on to the middle of next week as well. Later next week, lower pressure starting to develop to our southwest, possibly hinting a little bit of a funky breakdown then. And then lower pressure comes in from off the Atlantic into next weekend. A cold front moves eastwards and starts to introduce much cooler, fresher air in from off the Atlantic. So by day 10, we're going into a cooler and also rather more unsettled pattern with a trough of low pressure into the north. Probably still reasonably warm though down in the south. And then the ECM looks like this. Once more, the high pressure sitting over and to the east country on Tuesday. We draw up those hot southerly to southeasterly winds very gradually. We see pressure weakening, but still reasonably high for pressure up to next weekend. But a gradual weakening of pressure is starting to take place here. So eventually, by day 9 and 10, low pressure begins to move in from off the Atlantic. We start turning cooler and also more unsettled, possibly after some sort of a funky breakdown around day 8. And then low pressure, is just to our west, so cooler air comes in from off the Atlantic. So going to be hot next week. We're looking at a cool down possibly next weekend or into the beginning of the following week. This is a precipitation forecast based on the ECM run from TibetShow.com. Lots of dry weather coming up over the next few days. But we do find by the end of next week, some shall begin to break out initially just in the far west and northwest. But eventually, both showers and storms begin to get a little bit more widespread. We're into Friday here with storms maybe across parts of Wales and also northern England. Further showers hit and miss in nature into next weekend. It's around days 9, 10th, 11th, 12th September, days 8, 9, 10. We start finding those showers and storms becoming more widespread across the country. No, a proper breakdown there by the 11th of September with widespread showers and or thunderstorms. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble today for day 10. Gets us to the 12th of September. 31 members of the ECM Ensembles with low pressure to the north, a ridge down to the south, looking generally quite showering to the north, drier in the south, and 20, including control and operation run, bringing low pressure in from off the Atlantic as high pressure retreats away to the east. So that's also turning more unsettled. So both the options actually starting to break down the ridge by day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 17th of September. 15 members of the ECM Ensembles with high pressure over top. The country mostly dry and very warm. 14 with lower pressure around the country, but not necessarily low. 12 with high pressure to our east, reaching through the country and out into the Atlantic. Should be a fair amount of dry weather with that. And then 10 with low pressure in over Scandinavia. A ridge is out in the Atlantic, so it could be a little bit on the cool and showery side with that one. A range of options. High pressure, though, could, after a bit of a weakening, in around a week's time, high pressure might actually come back again towards the middle of September. CFS Weeklies finally is a 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 2nd to the 8th of September. This week, we'll have high pressure over and to the east of the country and be bringing in the wind from a hot southerly or southeasterly direction. Week 2 is going to be the 9th to the 15th of September with low pressure around Iceland, high pressure slipping southwards again, bringing the wind from off the Atlantic. Now a little bit cooler in the north, probably mostly dry and quite warm in the south. Into week 3, which is going to be the 16th to 22nd of September, high pressure just out to our west. So again, mostly dry, but a little bit cooler with a wind direction coming from more west-northwesterly. And then week 4 looking rather bizarre. It's the 23rd, 29th of September. Lots of high pressure to the north then. So hints of northern blocking, but we've still got this sort of ridge left around Spain. And probably some lower pressure through here. That's a very strange looking anomaly. And I think by that point, the CFS has probably lost the plot a little bit. So you won't worry too much about that. Okay, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe. Please show everybody that. Won't drop a comment. Let's just say what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. We thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for us. So, yes, we've got to focus on the hot weather coming up next week. How hot will it get? How long will this heat last? We're going to keep you updated at GavsWeatherVids. Of course we will on this September/autumn heat wave. Well, just going to tell you what's coming up on the channel tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely epic. So we're going to start off with the 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We're going to have a premiere. We don't do many premieres on the channel, just 2 or 3 a year. So we're going to have a premiere for our first winter 2023-24 update. That will be at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The red carpet is being rolled out as I speak. I've still got to record the update though and get it all set up. Later on today there'll be a watch page appearing. This will be into the evening. A watch page will appear and you'll be able to see the page for the winter update, but you won't actually be able to watch it until the premiere begins tomorrow at 2 p.m. And then of course at 6 p.m. we will be having a chat about that winter update. So you have a couple of hours to watch the winter update, and then we'll do a live stream at 6 p.m. We'll have a chat about winter update. Not only that, we'll do a 10 to 14 day update, and we'll show you loads of long range on that as well. CFS and Canon 6 data coming up on the live stream tomorrow. That's all from 6 p.m. So epic. I can't wait to get started later on this afternoon on the first winter update. Wish me luck, everybody, as we count down again to get the bandwagon rolling to another season of winter updates. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening. I shall see you tomorrow either for the premiere or for the live, or maybe for both. But for this one, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.